All right, we are on to part three of a three-part series, 42 Rules for Life. This was taken from the Twitter thread from Mr. Jordan Peterson. But first, let's be our best this week at HMS. Let's be safe, let's be responsible, let's be respectful, let's be a learner. All right, we're off and running on part three of Jordan Peterson's 42 Rules for Life. Rule number 29, be precise in your speech. Let's say that you're having a rough patch in your relationship and you don't know why. The issue is unnameable. Is it real? Well, yes, it's manifesting itself in its physiological discomfort. Then you talk about it, you name it, and it goes from this blurry thing into a little monster. It's this precision that enables you to specify it. Now you can do something about it. It's little, at least, you can admit to it. I think being precise and filtering yourself and everything that comes out of your mouth is a real skill in life that's very important. If I could add to rule number 29. Rule number 30, stand up straight with your shoulders back. This was the very first chapter in his very first book where he talked about lobsters. I love that chapter. That's what really got me hooked into the book. To stand up straight with your shoulders back is to accept the terrible responsibility of life with eyes wide open. When he talks about terrible responsibility, not necessarily terrible, but it is a responsibility, and it's your responsibility to live your life to the fullest. It means deciding to voluntarily transform the chaos of potential into the realities of habitable order. And we'll talk a little bit more, a couple rules down, about standing up to bullies, but standing up straight with your shoulders back is also how are you representing yourself, and it always comes back to self-respect, are you representing yourself as someone that other people see as deserving respect? Rule number 31, don't avoid something frightening if it stands in your way, and don't do unnecessarily dangerous things. The gradual exposure to what you're afraid of is curative. Confront the world forthrightly and expose yourself courageously to things you're afraid of. Life will improve. Anything worth anything in life is going to take work, it's going to take effort, and sometimes that can be frightening. Having conversations with people that we're having a difficulty with, that takes conversation. I see a lot of middle school kids that just really avoid a lot of conversations, a lot of human beings in general, because it's frightening. But so many times having those conversations are how we solve problems, especially when it comes to problems with other people. Rule number 32, do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. For this one, I think the shoe should be on the other foot. Hopefully all of you have adults in your life that hold you accountable, that that have made it very clear that you're not only representing yourself, but you're representing your family and the adults and all of those people that care about you. And that's very much what that chapter talked about. Rule number 33, do not transform your wife into a maid. Wife, husband, relationships are about 50-50. Relationships are about carrying your own weight. If the power differential in any sort of relationship gets skewed much more past 45, 55%, your relationship is going to struggle and your relationship is going to have a hard time existing. And so that rule, it's just one sentence, but that's really what that rule is talking about, is having equity and equalness in your relationships if you want them to be healthy and you want them to survive. Number 34, I remember this chapter well. Do not hide unwanted things in the fog. There will be times in your life when it will take everything you have to face what is in front of you, instead of hiding away from a truth so terrible that the only thing worse is the falsehood you long to replace it with. Again, this is like brushing something under the rug, putting things off, avoiding things in life that we know we need to address. Super, super, super important, because if we have issues in our life and if we have things that need addressed and they don't get addressed, then they're never going to get better. They're just going to sit and fester and get worse. 35. This was from his newest book. Notice that opportunity lurks where responsibility has been abdicated. You positively need to be occupied with something weighty, deep, profound, and difficult. What would your life be like if you made use of all the potential that you were offered? This one's pretty self-explanatory. I will say that life, there's three things guaranteed. You're born, you live, and then you die. And life is so much about what do you do with that middle part? Do you live it to the fullest? Do you do something that really means something? Your purpose, that should be something that we're all trying to get figured out. Feel incredibly blessed to do a handful of things that I really believe in. And I really believe in rule number 35 because I think our lives should really be about something profound and noble and deep. Rule number 36, read something written by someone great. Carl Jung had an idea that part of personality development is to understand your shadow, the parts of you that you don't want to admit to. You can learn about your shadow by reading history. A book isn't paper, it's a portal. One of my goals for this next year, and always one of my goals, is to do more reading. I think knowledge is key for so much in life, and to continually be learning and exploring and thinking about things. Rule number 37, pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. When things are not good and hard, you get these little moments where a little bit of possibility still shines through. I know we all have those moments. You've got to take those moments when you get them. I've noticed that sometimes in life, when my life has gotten hard, or I'm overwhelmed, or I've got a lot of things going on, I stop and I really try to practice gratitude. It's really easy to get caught up and bogged down in everything at any given time that's not going right in your life. And I've noticed that a good remedy for that is to sit and kind of think the opposite and really take a moment and think about all the wonderful things that we all have going on in our life and the wonderful opportunities that we have. Number 38, I love this one. This is so much my childhood and what I really believe your generation needs to get back to. Do not bother children when they're skateboarding. They jump in the air, grab their skateboard, bounce on the rail, and slide for 20 feet. Children are practicing being courageous. They're practicing mastering something in the face of danger. Um, I love play. I love being out. Just got off a big mountain bike ride. Um, I think that being active and facing fear and facing challenges is something that is really needed to really fully develop as a human being. I've been so proud to watch my hurdlers this spring early in the season. So many of them crashed and burned, and they've got right back up. Skin knees, skin hands, skinned arms, and they just get right back at it. I think it's the coolest thing that human beings, especially adolescents and children, should be doing. Number 39, don't let bullies get away with it. I usually use a rule of three. If we interact and you do something that I find disruptive, I'll note it. If you do it again, I think that probably wasn't merely a situation. I'll leave it because that's not enough evidence. If you do it a third time, then I'll say, hey, I just noticed this. Not only did it happen, but it happened there, happened here. So there's something going on, and I'm not going to ignore it. This one is very much like the stand up straight with your shoulders back, standing up for yourself, practicing self-respect, not letting people get things over on you, because I really believe in life that if you don't stand up for yourself, you will continue to get treated poorly. And when you stand up for yourself, you communicate to other people that I have self-worth, I have self-respect, and I know I have it, and I'm going to let you know that I have it. Rule 40, write a letter to the government if you see something that needs fixing and propose a solution. Not going to hit super hard on that one. That one is more adult oriented. But I do think being involved in civics, being involved in your community someday, that's something that I could get way better at outside of being a counselor and a coach and doing some different things. Rule number 41, remember that what you do not yet know is more important than what you already know. It is much better to make friends with what you do not know than with what you do know. And there's an infinite supply of former, but a finite stock of the latter. Especially for everyone your age, there's so much out there in the world to still be learned, so much to be discovered. One of my favorite things is when I'm around people that are older than me, that are more accomplished than me. I love engaging them in conversations and picking their brain, and I will talk for hours and hours and hours. I think it's the most intriguing and just the coolest thing to soak up other people's ideas, thoughts, hear their experiences. I think there's so much we can learn. Last but not least, be grateful in spite of your suffering. This one really goes back to the whole chaos versus being, which was kind of a deep thought of his first book. But what he's really saying is, well, there's some real utility in gratitude, and I just talked about that. Gratitude is the process of consciously and courageously attempting thankfulness in the face of the catastrophe of life. Um, what he really talked about in his first book was there's chaos around us, and then there's order, and you really want to shoot for finding that middle ground, and not necessarily avoiding all the chaos in life, but making sense of it, and trying to get things that you can control in order. So hope you guys got something out of this. Hope this was a great way to end your 8th grade year. Um, a lot of these things are rules that I firmly believe in, and I'm hoping that all of you picked up a few, something that can help you on your journeys.